Before this story really begins, here's a quick hook for you. Imagine driving alone at night, carrying a load worth more than your truck, when one small decision changes everything. If you enjoy real-life road stories, subscribe now and write in the comments what your profession is and whether you've ever had a strange or unforgettable moment at work. Now, let's get into it. My name's Frank Miller, and I've been a long-haul truck driver for over 20 years. I'm past 40, my knees complain in cold weather, and my coffee has to be strong enough to wake the dead. The road has been my second home for most of my adult life. I've watched the sun rise over deserts and set behind mountains, all from behind a cracked windshield. You learn a lot about people when you spend that much time alone, rolling through towns that most folks only see on a map. That particular trip started in Ohio. I was hauling a sealed trailer with specialized equipment bound for a manufacturing plant in Texas. The paperwork was thick, the deadlines were tight, and the dispatcher made it clear this load mattered. I didn't know exactly what was inside, but I knew it was expensive and sensitive. That kind of cargo makes you extra careful. You check your mirrors more often, you lock your doors without thinking. You trust your instincts. It was my third night on the road when I pulled onto a long, quiet stretch of highway in the southern plains. No lights, no traffic, just the hum of tires and the steady rhythm of the engine. Anyone who's driven those roads knows you sometimes see people standing near exits or rest areas, hoping to flag someone down. Most drivers keep rolling. Some don't. I usually didn't. Too many stories, too many risks. That night, I saw a woman standing near a broken-down sedan on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking. She looked tired, cold, and frustrated, the way anyone would after being stranded. I slowed down, arguing with myself. The decent part of me said to help. The cautious part reminded me of the cargo and the hour. In the end, I pulled over a few yards ahead, keeping the engine running. She approached slowly, hands visible, and thanked me for stopping. Her voice shook, but she didn't seem threatening. She said her phone was dead and asked for a ride to the next truck stop. I told her I could take her that far, nothing more. She agreed quickly, climbed in, and shut the door. As I pulled back onto the highway, I had no idea that this simple act of kindness was about to put me in the most dangerous situation of my career and test every lesson the road had ever taught me. The first few miles passed in silence. The woman stared out the passenger window, arms folded, while I kept my eyes on the road. Experience has taught me that silence can say more than conversation. Eventually, she introduced herself as Lisa. The name might have been real, or it might not. Out on the highway, names are often just placeholders. She asked the usual questions: how long I'd been driving, where I was headed. I gave careful, vague answers. Long enough, far enough. When she asked about my load, I told her it was company business and changed the subject. That's when I noticed her posture shift. She leaned back, relaxed too suddenly, like someone deciding on their next move. A few minutes later, she reached down toward the floor near her feet. I glanced over, my stomach tightening. Truckers learn to read small movements. Before I could say a word, she lunged toward me, grabbing for the steering wheel. The cab filled with chaos. The truck drifted toward the shoulder as I fought to keep control, heart pounding like it wanted out of my chest. She shouted something I couldn't make out, and that's when I saw the glint of a small blade in her hand. Panic tried to take over, but training and instinct kicked in. I slammed the brakes just enough to throw her off balance, then swerved onto the gravel shoulder, bringing the rig to a hard stop. The engine roared, then settled into an angry idle. Before I could react further, headlights appeared behind us. Not one car, but two. Doors opened, shadows moved. I realized then this wasn't random, this was planned. The woman recovered quickly and reached for the door handle, shouting toward the approaching figures. They were coming for the truck, for the cargo. I locked my door and grabbed the heavy flashlight I kept within reach. Years ago, an old driver told me to always have something solid nearby. I stepped out on my side, using the door as cover, and shouted that the police were already on the way. It was a gamble, but confidence can be a powerful weapon. The attackers hesitated just long enough. One rushed me anyway. I swung the flashlight, hitting his shoulder, then shoved him back. The woman tried to circle behind, but I moved fast, keeping the truck between us. I hit the air horn with my elbow, blasting the night with noise. Sound carries far on empty highways. The commotion worked. In the distance, I saw flashing lights approaching. Someone nearby must have called it in, or maybe my bluff had forced their hand. The attackers panicked. One tried to run, another stumbled. Within minutes, patrol cars screeched to a stop, officers shouting commands. As I stood there, shaking but upright, I realized I was still holding the flashlight like a lifeline, and that the road had once again proven it could turn quiet moments into life-changing ones without warning. The officers moved quickly, securing the scene with practiced efficiency. The woman and the two men were cuffed and separated, their confident act gone, replaced by angry silence. I sat on the edge of my truck's step, hands trembling, as an officer handed me a bottle of water and asked if I was hurt. Only then did I feel how hard my heart was still racing. As they questioned me, pieces of the story began to come together. The group wasn't just a few desperate people looking for easy money. They were part of an organized crew that targeted commercial vehicles on isolated highways. They used distractions, fake breakdowns, and inside information to choose valuable loads. My truck hadn't been a coincidence. One officer, a gray-haired sergeant, nodded slowly as he listened. He told me this crew had been on their radar for months. They moved across state lines, stayed unpredictable, and vanished before police could close in. Tonight, thanks to a mix of luck and noise, they'd finally made a mistake. They inspected my trailer, confirmed the seal was intact, and called my company to report the incident. The dispatcher, who usually sounded bored, suddenly treated me like a hero. I didn't feel like one. I felt tired, shaken, and very aware of how close things had come to going wrong. After the statements were done, the sergeant shook my hand. He thanked me for staying calm and doing what I could without making things worse. That meant more to me than he probably realized. Out on the road, you often feel invisible, like you're just part of the scenery. That night, someone noticed. I was escorted to a nearby truck stop to rest. Sleep didn't come easy. Every sound made me sit up, replaying the moment she grabbed the wheel, the flash of metal, the headlights in the dark. Eventually, exhaustion won. When I woke, the sun was up and the world looked ordinary again, which felt strange after everything. A few days later, after I completed the delivery, I got a call from a local reporter. The police had released details about the arrest, and my name came up. The article called me a quick-thinking driver who helped stop a crime ring. Seeing my story in print felt unreal, like reading about someone else. Friends and family started calling. Other drivers sent messages through company channels sharing their own close calls. It turned into something bigger than me, a reminder passed along the highway network that awareness matters. I didn't start driving to be in the spotlight. I started because I liked the freedom, the movement, the quiet thinking time. That night reminded me that freedom comes with responsibility, and that small choices can ripple out in ways you never expect. Even now, when I pass that stretch of road, I slow down just a bit. Not out of fear, but respect. The road gives and it takes, and sometimes it tests you to see if you're paying attention. Life on the road didn't suddenly change after that night, but something inside me did. I became even more observant, more deliberate. I shared the story whenever younger drivers asked for advice, not to scare them, but to prepare them. Experience is a currency you earn the hard way, and it's meant to be spent helping others. The company invited me to a safety meeting a few weeks later. I stood in front of a room full of drivers, most of them seasoned, some just starting out. I told them exactly what happened, step by step, without exaggeration. I emphasized trusting instincts, controlling information, and never letting politeness override caution. Heads nodded. A few drivers avoided eye contact, lost in their own memories. After the meeting, one man approached me quietly. He said he'd ignored his gut once and paid for it. He thanked me for speaking up. Moments like that mattered more than the newspaper article. The police followed up too. The gang, it turned out, was responsible for several thefts and assaults across multiple states. Evidence from my truck, combined with what they found on the suspects, helped connect the dots. Cases like that don't close often, and when they do, it's usually because someone didn't freeze when it counted. A month later, I received a formal letter of thanks from the department. No medal, no ceremony, just a few sincere paragraphs. I pinned it inside my cab, right above the logbook, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that doing the right thing still matters even when no one's watching. Time moved on, as it always does. Seasons changed, miles stacked up. The road smoothed the edges of the memory, but never erased it. Every now and then, someone at a rest stop would recognize my name from the article and ask if it was really me. I'd nod, we'd share a coffee, and then head our separate ways. What stayed with me most was how quickly normal can turn into dangerous and how preparation turns fear into action. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to be ready. Driving teaches patience, it teaches humility, it teaches you that control is often an illusion, but response is a choice. That night, I didn't choose bravery, I chose focus. The rest followed. When I think back, I don't remember the shouting as much as the silence afterward. The vast open road under the stars, indifferent to human drama. It reminded me that we're all just passing through, doing our best with what we have. And maybe that's why the story resonated with so many people. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was ordinary life pushed to an extreme, then pulled back by calm decisions and a little luck. Today, I'm still driving. Different routes, newer truck, same long stretches of asphalt. I still enjoy early mornings when the world feels untouched, and late nights when the radio crackles with distant voices. The road hasn't gotten safer, but I've gotten wiser, and that makes a difference. When people ask if I'd do it differently, if I'd stop for that woman again, I take my time answering. The truth is complicated. Helping others matters. So does coming home in one piece. The balance between the two is something every working person understands, no matter their profession. That's why this story isn't just about a trucker and a crime. It's about awareness at work, about moments when routine breaks and your response defines the outcome. Office, factory, classroom, highway, it doesn't matter. Strange things happen everywhere. I've learned that heroes don't always look heroic. Sometimes they're tired, underpaid, halfway through a cold cup of coffee, just trying to finish the job. Sometimes they don't even realize what they've done until it's over. The article eventually faded from public view. Another story replaced it. That's fine. What mattered was that a dangerous group was stopped and that others could learn from it. If even one driver avoided trouble because of what happened to me, it was worth telling. So if you're listening to this and thinking about your own job, your own strange moments, remember this. Pay attention. Trust your instincts. Prepare for the unexpected. And don't underestimate your ability to handle more than you think you can. The road will always test those who travel it. The question is never whether something will happen, but whether you'll be ready when it does. I wasn't special. I was just present. Thanks for listening to my story. If you haven't already, subscribe and leave a comment about what you do for a living and whether you've ever had a strange or unforgettable moment at work. You never know whose experience might help someone else stay safe. Out there, wherever your road leads, keep your eyes open, your mind clear, and your respect for the unexpected intact. The journey is long, but the lessons are worth carrying with you.